Now there are going to be finds that make even scientists feel awkward. Not cute artifacts from a textbook, but things after which you want to ask out loud. Who made this, and why? Sometimes whole places disappear, as if they were erased with an eraser in one night. Sometimes objects surface that should not exist, not by dating, not by logic. And sometimes a video appears that seems to prove everything. But the longer you watch, the stronger the feeling. You're being led onto thin ice. Sometimes myths become dangerous when they fall into the hands of workers. In a quarry where metal and stone sound like the same routine, a tool suddenly hits not rock. The sound is different, dull, alive. They pull an object out of the ground that looks like a ring, thick, heavy, too large for a human hand to wear. Not a museum ornament, but a thing that looks like it was worn, and worn long ago. Along the edge, signs. Not just an ornament, but a repeating language, as if someone left a mark of ownership. And then another detail appears in the story. Years later, they find a finger bone of enormous size, and on it, patterns suspiciously similar to the symbols on the ring, as if the inscription matched the signature. Someone immediately recalls giants from ancient legends. Someone says, it's a fake. But in any case, something else is strange. Why do such finds always have two endings? Either they hid everything, or nothing was proven. Somewhere in the Caucasus, archaeologists lift a skull out of the ground, and in the first seconds, they do not even understand how to hold it. The shape is unusual, elongated proportions, huge eye sockets, and most importantly, protrusions on the upper part, like horns or bony bumps. It looks as if someone mixed a human and something else, and left the result in the earth. The skull does not fit either standard versions or ordinary deviations. They scan it, compare it, run it through databases, and the answer does not appear. The internet and documentaries especially love such stories. Here it is easy to say, an unknown species, not of earthly origin, traces of ancient beings. But in reality, the scariest thing is not aliens. The scariest thing is the emptiness in the explanation. When smart people honestly spread their hands, it means the find ended up where familiar knowledge ends. A group of people wandered among stone massifs and stumbled upon a strange niche, like a tomb, hidden not for archaeologists, but from archaeologists. What they filmed looks like a frame from a movie. Inside a transparent box lies a person, too whole, too alive in appearance. Not a mummy, not bones. Face, hands, posture. Everything is preserved so well that the brain automatically expects, now he will breathe in. Online, this was quickly linked to the legendary king and hero of ancient texts, Gilgamesh, who is called both a ruler and a semi-divine figure. And here, the most dangerous part begins. Some are sure. This is the sensation of the century, others say. Shot for views, and others are sure it is someone staging against the background of an ancient theme. And here's what is truly frightening. Even if it is a mystification, why is it made so convincingly? And why, after such videos, does there usually remain neither a place nor coordinates, nor a continuation? Only the feeling that you saw something extra. Imagine dark water, where a flashlight beam is the only reality. A diver slowly glides along the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea, and suddenly the light snatches from the sand. A hand, not a stone, not a snag. Fingers, joints. A shape that is too easy to read as human. And the size, such that in a normal person, an ancient instinct switches on inside. This is not mine. I am out of place here. According to the eyewitness, on the wrist, a massive hoop gleamed, like a golden bracelet or a cuff ring, with symbols that no one could confidently decipher. He filmed it on video, and, they say, left from there, almost in panic. The real movie begins later. When he returns not alone, the find disappears. Only a trace remains in the sand, as if something heavy really lay there for a long time. The official version sounds expected, a feature of the relief, a rock formation. But there is one problem: the video. And if the footage is real, then the question is no longer, what is it? But why was it removed so quickly? On the outskirts of Egypt, friends explored a hidden cave and saw a bundle in white cloth. Usually such finds end in trash or old clothes, but not this time. They unfold the cloth and freeze. Inside, a creature with an elongated face and a rib cage where the ribs look frighteningly open, as if the body did not die naturally but was prepared. The strangest detail is the jewelry. Bony hands are covered with golden spiral bracelets like snakes, and on the neck, a serpent necklace with turquoise inserts and one bright blue stone. Such a composition looks not like an accident, but like a ritual. The remains were taken for tests, and then again, silence. In these stories, what is frightening is not the monster, but the empty space where there should be a report. When not things disappear, answers disappear. The 23rd of September, 2021. If you believe the story, archaeologists discovered a hidden tomb in a cave system near Luxor. They go inside and see something that turns off a normal person's voice. Perfectly preserved mummies inside sealed sarcophagi. Not remains, not fragments. Whole bodies, lying so calmly as if they were placed yesterday. And there, a passage into a tunnel below, into an underground space, where there are even more artifacts and sarcophagi, as if this is not a single tomb, but a node of a huge network. The mummies are carefully carried out, the entrance is closed, and some of the sarcophagi, as claimed, end up in a museum. But the main question remains: who are these people? Why were they sealed so carefully? And how many such quiet rooms are still hidden under the sand, simply waiting until someone makes a wrong step with a shovel? At a construction site in the area of Golyama Kosmatka, not far from Shipka in Bulgaria, workers hit something hard with a shovel. And at first they thought, a stone. But it was an object hidden in the ground, covered with dust and time. Archaeologists clean the find, and from the dirt, a bronze face emerges. Not an abstract mask, but features that seem to look back. Experts connect this with a ruler of the Thracian world. In such stories, a name like Sotes appears, and it is exactly here that a cold detail appears. Such things often lie not as lost, but as placed. The thing seemed to be waiting until someone brought it back into the light. And every time a face appears from the earth, you involuntarily think, how many faces we will never see? Because they will remain there forever. 2 people in Jerusalem were digging up a tree. A normal story until under the roots, there's found a strange cavity and an object like a heavy box. On the lid, carving, not a little pattern for beauty, but signs that make you uncomfortable, as if it is a warning, not a decoration. They take out the box, and inside, as claimed, they find stone tablets with writings that cannot be confidently read right away. Then, the loudest statement. Allegedly, this could be that very sacred repository, which is linked with ancient legends about the tablets of the law. And according to rumors, the find is quickly handed over to where it needs to go. If this is fake, why so many details, and why does everything go quiet so abruptly? A group of friends was playing on the beach. Something sticks out of the sand that looks like a snag, or like part of something larger. They start digging, and a huge crocodile's body is revealed. Not just big, almost on the border of fantasy. About 20 feet. Yes, large crocodiles exist. But the strange thing here is something else. The preservation. As if nature did not eat it, time did not destroy it. As if it was hidden. Specialists arrive, take everything away for research. And then, silence. No detailed reports, no official publications. Neither this is a rare specimen, nor this is a measurement error, nor here are photos and analysis. When not a body disappears, but information, it always raises questions. Because nature usually does not hide traces so neatly. People do that. Sometimes antiquity is not found. It rises on its own when the water level falls. In one Chinese reservoir, a stone head slowly appeared from the surface. The face is calm, motionless, as if it watched from the depths for many decades. Archaeologists confirm this is an image of Buddha, belonging to a historical period. In such cases, the Ming era is often mentioned. But then something even stranger appears. In the rocks nearby, they notice traces of old structures, fragments of a roof, stone elements that could not appear just like that. Scanning shows, under the water, there is not one object. There is an entire complex. Temple structures, remnants of architecture, as if a large corner of history was flooded and preserved. And the question here is not how beautiful. The question is, why did it end up underwater? An element, a flood, a human decision, or an event about which it is more convenient to keep silent than to tell? Sometimes the scariest thing is not the desert and not the sea. The scariest thing is your own home. A person goes down into the basement for tools and notices on the wall a small creature. It is tiny, of a strange shape, looks as if it does not belong to any familiar family of living beings. He records a video and uploads it online. And the classic begins. Some insist, this is something unknown, others laugh. A stuck-on toy, third suspect editing. But there is a reason why such clips hook millions. They hit an ancient button in the head. Home must be safe. And if something chuzhoi appears on your wall, you immediately understand how thin that illusion is. A group of researchers of marine life finds on the bottom an object that would make any medieval reenactor dizzy. A helmet. Only one nuance. It is not big. It is such that a person can really swim inside it, like into a small room. They film footage, show it to a familiar archaeologist, and he allegedly says, "This is not a decorative thing. This looks like equipment of a creature of enormous height." Yes, it sounds like a legend. But such stories hold not on evidence, but on the feeling of scale. If the object really was meant to be worn, who then wore it? In Egypt, there are places where you can walk on stone and feel that under your feet there is not just emptiness, but someone's carefully closed history. A group of researchers makes its way into a cave near the Sinai desert and stumbles upon a passage that looks too clean for a random crack. And then, a room. Not a storeroom, not a niche. A room. Sarcophagi, objects, wall paintings. And the most dangerous word for rumors, gold. According to eyewitness accounts, almost everything inside was made of pure gold, as if someone decided not to hide wealth, but to seal an entire era. Then, the authorities and archaeologists get involved. And in the public field, a version sounds that the find belongs to a period associated with Cleopatra. In such stories, Cleopatra III is often mentioned. And here the classic begins. The story seems loud, but information, a drop. As if someone turned on the light for a second and immediately turned it off again. And there remains the feeling that we know about the past exactly as much as we are allowed to know. And here's a rare case when mysticism is replaced by a real miracle of science. In Nineveh, on the territory of modern Iraq, they find clay tablets with cuneiform, symbols like wedges and scratches. To an unprepared eye, it looks like a pattern, but it is writing. Hundreds, thousands of years ago, people recorded like this deals, wars, marriages, laws, disputes, life. Scientists long deciphered these signs, compared languages, built keys, and at some point the text begins to speak. It is almost like time travel. You read not a retelling, but the direct speech of a civilization that long ago turned to dust. And after that, the phrase, "the ancients were primitive," sounds especially funny. They simply lived in another world. and wrote it down so that one day we could look there. In 2023, a video went viral on TikTok. A tourist explores a cave in Thailand and supposedly finds a gigantic body lying on the ground. Filming, fear, comments, millions of views, everything needed for a viral hit. Then, statements by paleontologists arise, versions about Nephilim, biblical giants and ancient beings. And the most telling thing? The place quickly turns into a point of attraction for tourists, as if the video itself was not a find, but bait. Such stories must always be kept at a distance. The internet knows how to draw reality so that you believe because you want to believe. But even if it is fake, it shows something else. People terribly like the thought that under the earth lies not only history, but also something forbidden. In Egypt, archaeologists found a mummy about 2,000 years old. But attention was drawn not by the burial and not by the jewelry, but the tongue. It was made of gold. The specialist's version sounds almost logical. Allegedly, embalmers could give a person a golden tongue so that he could speak in the afterlife, address Osiris, or pass the posthumous judgment. But there is another side that makes you go cold. Why exactly gold? Is it an honor or fear? As if in real life this person spoke too much, and in death they left him a symbolic tongue that will not tell the truth to anyone. A recent story from the series, it sounds incredible, but there are too many details. Inside an ancient pyramid, scientists find massive slabs, perfectly built into the walls of a room. At first glance, just stone. But when they direct light at a certain angle, the slabs begin to glow. They are described as calcite crystals. And then, the strangest thing, with the exact direction of the beam, invisible patterns appear, as if a drawing is hidden in the structure. In the frame or description, a human figure appears, and even a detail like a navel. And the main thing is emphasized. There are no tool marks, no scratches, no chips, no handwriting of manual work. From here, the favorite version of conspiracy theory is born, an energy device, an ancient technology. But even without mysticism, the question remains harsh. How to create perfectly fitted crystals and hidden drawings so as to leave no familiar traces of processing? This story is already from the category of real archaeological sensations. In a cave near the Dead Sea, they found ancient swords, whose age is estimated at about 1,900 years. The most surprising thing is the preservation. Wooden and leather elements, scabbards, handles, as if time spared them intentionally. There is a version that the weapons were hidden by rebels or people hiding from the Romans, and it was the dry climate that helped the swords survive. When you keep in your head the number almost 2,000 years, it becomes strange. This is not just iron. This is an object that was next to those who lived, feared, and fought, and now suddenly ended up in our time. In 2011. A group of engineers or technicians works underwater, repair, cable, a normal task. And suddenly on the bottom, they see an object of a disc-like shape, partially covered by sand. They swim closer and notice something that knocks the brain out of balance. Inside, there seem to be places like seats, but there are no windows, no doors, no markings, no familiar details of technology. It does not look like a submarine, nor a capsule, nor a part of a ship. And here a split arises, like from a textbook. Some shout, UFO. Others say, junk from the bottom. Third keeps silent, because silence is the most convenient position. But the main question is not in the name. The main question is, why do such stories almost always end the same way, without continuation? A story from the series, and then everything suddenly disappeared. In one of the ancient regions of Tanzania, archaeologists allegedly find massive bones. So large that at first, they take them for animals. Then, they notice proportions to human. And if it is true, then it breaks the usual picture of the past. Who could be so tall? Could the ancient legends about giants be not just a metaphor? According to accounts, the place is quickly closed. Details stop appearing in the news, and everything goes into the fog. When information disappears, rumors grow wings. And when rumors have bones, wings become dangerous. And now, a case that does not need possible and allegedly. 1974, China. Peasants dig a well and stumble upon ceramic fragments and the head of a warrior. And it turns out to be only the door handle to a huge room. Excavations lead to one of the most massive discoveries. Thousands of statues of warriors and horses. An entire army, created more than 2,000 years ago to guard the first emperor in the afterlife. The most frightening thing is not the quantity, but the idea. A man did not have enough power in life. He needed an army after death. And when you see this, you understand. The darkness of history is not always mystical. Sometimes it is quite human, cold, calculating, and very expensive. The 18th of March, 2021, archaeologists were working at a site in the area of Qumran, Israel, when they found a fragment of an ancient parchment. In appearance, an unremarkable piece that is easy to mistake for trash. But dating and expertise indicate something else. This is part of biblical scrolls associated with the collection of the so-called Dead Sea Scrolls. And this is where the real shiver of time is felt. These texts were created about 2,000 years ago. They survived empires, fires, wars, changes of languages and religions. Their value is not only religious. This is a direct window into an era when texts and meanings were being formed that then influenced half the world. The strongest thing in such finds is a simple thought. The words on the parchment were alive when people walked the earth whose names have long disappeared. And now this paper, like a scar, reminds, history is not a legend. It is a document. In 2022, a drought in Turkey lowered the water level so much that on the banks of the Euphrates walls and corridors of an ancient fortification appeared. What had been hidden for centuries suddenly became accessible to tourists, as if nature itself decided to arrange an archaeological sensation. Galleries, narrow passages, rooms, tunnels, and most importantly, the feeling that this place was designed for defense and isolation. Locals argue, was it a castle, a temple, a church, part of an unknown kingdom? And archaeologists, as usual, try to assemble history from fragments, because stone has no written explanations. But the most disturbing moment is something else. If water can hide entire complexes, it means that even more is hidden under the surface. And we will see it only when the climate or the element again opens the curtain. A person lives in an old house, imagine about 500 years of history in the walls. And one day, while tidying up in the library, he notices something strange. Behind the bookshelves, there is a hole. Not a crack, not a crevice. An entrance. He opens this place and discovers a passage into a tunnel, which leads into 2 rooms. There are abandoned things, an old boiler, a locker cabinet. Then, he calls a friend. They try to open the locker, fuss, get nervous, carry it outside, and finally open it. And what is inside? Not gold, not weapons, but the quietest treasure, paper. A guide to the house and a letter from 1837 from a man with a high title. In the legend, a name like Spencer Compton, Duke of Devonshire, appears, where he writes about health, a trip, land, and mentions this house. This is the case when it is creepy not from monsters, but from the thought. A house can have hiding places you do not know about, and those hiding places have owners, even if they died long ago. In central Thailand, the Nong Bua temple for about 20 years was considered lost. It was flooded by the waters of a dam, and people resigned themselves. That's it is no longer there. But a severe drought comes, one of the most severe in decades. The water level falls, and the temple begins to show through the mud, walls, columns, fragments of the courtyard. Crowds arrive, someone photographs, someone prays, someone perceives it as a sign. But at the same time, local farmers suffer. Fields dry out. The harvest dies. There is not enough water. And here, there is a powerful, dramatic contrast. The past returns when the present collapses. The temple seems to remind people, history does not disappear. It simply waits until you have no time to think about it. The 10th of September, 2018, in the Czech Republic, a stone with an inscription appeared from a shallowed river that is impossible to read calmly. When you see me, weep. Such stones are called hunger stones. They appeared in periods of drought and low water and served as a signal of trouble. According to specialists' version, the inscription was left by a man named Fran Meyer before a devastating flood a century ago, as a warning to descendants. The stone again ended up on the surface, and experts noted that the water level became lower than historical benchmarks. In such stories, mysticism is not needed. The awareness that nature keeps memory better than any archives is enough, and sometimes shows it to us as a threat. A diver in the Mediterranean Sea notices an object that looks like a sword, all in shells, rust, and growths, as if the sea special node dressed it in armor. He pulls out the find and at first does not understand what he's holding. The metal is Ritualistic. The shape is unclear. But after cleaning, details and signs appear, which, in the legend of the story, link the sword with a historical figure, even with a name on the level of Frederick Barbarossa. It sounds loud and controversial, yes, but the scene itself is strong. You pull out of the water a weapon that could have been next to a man who disappeared in the chaos of war or an ambush. And here, a simple rule works. The fewer exact answers we have, the stronger fantasy draws in blood and fate. Archaeologists in Peru discovered on a slope a huge drawing of a cat made of stones. From the ground, it seems like a set of lines. But from above, it is as if a second layer of reality switches on. The animal appears whole, and you understand the scale. And then the familiar internet echo appears. Who could make this without drones? How did they see it as a whole? Maybe this is a sign for someone from above? The official side usually stays with the ground. Ancient cultures knew how to work with relief and perspective. But even with the most rational explanation, magic remains. People of the past left images as if they knew. One day someone would look at them from the sky. Recently, archaeologists announced the discovery of an ancient city in the northern part of Peru, in the Barranca province. Its age is estimated at about 3,500 years, and the name in reports sounds like Pañico. This city, according to researchers, could have been a key trading hub, connecting coastal communities with the Andes, and even with directions toward the Amazon. And here is what is surprising. While we are used to thinking that civilizations are Egypt, Mesopotamia, Asia, a couple of famous points. And here, another center, another network, another world that lived in parallel. Such discoveries seem to expand the map of humanity and remind history is not linear. It is like a forest, with a lot of paths we have not yet walked. The more you look at such finds, the clearer one thing becomes. Humanity lived not one history, but thousands, and most of them disappeared without witnesses. Cities went underwater. Temples were buried by silt. Bodies were hidden as if they were afraid they would return. And objects, swords, tablets, statues, lay in darkness until a Chinese hand pulled them back into our century. If you have your own version of what in all this is true and what is staged, write in the comments. And if you want a continuation or something similar, then write about it in the comments, leave likes, and subscribe to the Top Facts channel for collections of the most incredible facts and videos from all over the internet. Thank you for watching, and watch the previous incredible episodes.